What's going on, sports card hobby family? It is another day. It is another sports card video. We are back again. Today we're going to talk about a hot topic in our world, in our hobby world, and it is sports card grading.
You sure about that?
It is absolutely red hot. And today I'm going to talk about why I think that it is that way. If you're new here, you're looking for pretty much daily sports card, non-sports card, collectible style content, then friends, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and also connect with me on IG if you happen to be there. I'm at Sports Card Dad.
Yes!
All right, shout out to Gem Rate. They're on the sweatshirt. Ryan does an amazing job of pulling all of this data together from population reports, spits it out every day, week, month, and we can analyze it and get a very good feel as to what is going on in the grading world.
But let me explain something. The retirement is coming up either September 1st or October 1st. We've been hearing rumors of all the way around the board.
Which is nice because look, if we go back a few years, there was literally no data on this. And so GemRate doing the Lord's work here. We're going to talk about PSA, SGC, Beckett, and CGC cards. Not CSG anymore, just CGC. Get rid of that CSG. Get rid of it. Frank, pictures. All right, so PSA, July 2023, 1.04 million cards. Snooze fest. They've been really grading 1 million cards a month for over a year now, believe it or not. That's up 4% year over year. SGC, July 2023, channel partner, channel sponsor, 95,000 cards, up 76% year over year. We'll talk a little bit about more why that could be. Beckett, 57,000 cards, July 2023. That's up 14% year over year. And CGC cards, which they've had kind of a funkiness. There's an asterisk by this because their population report's been switched around and changed. And so we take this with a grain of salt, and GemRate has that there as well. He's got kind of a footnote talking about that with the asterisk. Negative 36% year over year. The thing with CGC is really kind of the revamps and things that they have done have really hurt them over the last 12 months if we're looking in the short term here. Now, maybe the moves they've done in the long run work out perfectly fine, but if we throw up, I think I've got the 1-year-old slide data which shows where CSG plus CGC was killing it if you go back 12 months. SGC had just had a tough month. I think PSA had just rolled out some specials. SGC kind of down, like back on their heels a little bit. But man, had they dramatically fought back, SGC. And what's interesting to me is I know of a lot of people too. I remember this going back a year. They were giving CSG a shot because they had great slabs, great product. There's a big company behind them. There's a lot of money behind them. And so there was a lot of people that jumped on the CSG, CGC train. And look, they still are there. I'm not saying that the business is going away by any stretch. This is a well-funded, very strong company that also does coin grading and comic book grading. There's a lot of things going there. But as far as grading sports cards go, there was a lot of specials I remember that they ran, good price points where people got in and kind of did, CSG cards, of course, now CGC. But man, 12 months later, it has completely shifted back to where SGC has really taken that second place spot. Now, another piece of data that I think is really interesting here is I talked about this going back 6, 7, 8 months. Where I was wrong was I thought sports card grading was going to slow down. I did not think that PSA was going to be grading 1 million cards a month continuously like they have over the last 12, 13 months. They've actually been grading 800,000 plus cards for the last 2 years. You can go back in September 2021. I think they did 830,000 cards. So they have been grading a lot of cards for 2 years, going back basically through kind of the downturn in card prices. It never really slowed down. But the one thing I did get right is I really felt that TCG was where the growth was. It was where there's the biggest amount of opportunity. When you look back over the last 3 years, Pokemon, we'll just talk about them. We're not even going to talk about Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or all the other sets. Just Pokemon has printed more than 15 billion cards since 2020, more than 15 billion cards. And no, not all of them are going to be sent into grading, but that is a huge sample size of just one type of non-sport TCG card. We're not even counting in the Magic the Gathering stuff and the other sets, Flesh and Blood and whatever else. And it's a massive number of cards, which of course means opportunity. PSA this month graded quite a bit more, TCG cards than they did sports cards. So I know when we look at this, a lot of folks, they look at this data, they think 1 million cards. They graded 1 million sports cards. SGC grades about 100,000. So that's 10 times. But it's really 5 times this month. They graded 498,000 cards. SGC sitting at 95,000. For every one SGC slab that came out in July, there was 5 PSA slabs, which granted, still a big gap, but it's not the 8, 9, 10x gap that what some people anticipate it to be. If we look at year over year, 498,000 sports cards is a negative 25% for PSA. This could be a function of just capacity, where it's like, hey, look, we've got capacity for 1 million to 1.2 million cards. Sometimes it's going to be more sports. Sometimes it's going to be more TCG. We want to keep it kind of, 50-50 if we can, or 60-40 or whatever. It might be a capacity issue. It also could be, and I've heard of grading companies talk about this as well, is do you really want to increase capacity? I know some people would think like, yeah, of course they do. They want to make more money. Sort of. But the problem is that if PSA is grading 2 million cards, 3 million cards a month, it really dilutes everything. It becomes very, very diluted. Now, maybe that's something they want to get to. Maybe they do want to be grading 2, 3 million cards. Maybe they think, hey, look, if the demand is there, we want to meet that demand. But it also could work the same way as print runs for cards, where stuff is just too much, there's too much of it, and then nothing is special anymore. Anyway, that's probably a whole separate video. But we had 498,000 sports cards for PSA compared to 544,000 TCG and non-sports. That's a plus 64% year over year for PSA. That is a dramatic TCG non-sports increase for PSA. It now accounts, if we're just looking at July, now let's see if this becomes more of a trend. It now accounts for more than 50% of their business, TCG, which is very interesting, but not shocking. It's not shocking based on the amount of cards that have been printed, the excitement over Pokemon, the excitement over Magic, the excitement over a lot of non-sports stuff. It makes sense. So why is this all happening? How is this all happening? The one thing that sticks out to me, especially coming off the back of the National, is that there is still a lot of liquidity in this market. And what I mean by that is if you are grading cards and you are not able to sell them on the secondary market, so you're paying $15, $20, $25 for maybe higher end stuff, you're paying a few $100s to grade that card. If dealers were not able to go ahead and turn around and sell those cards, then grading would slow down. Because people would not keep on grading. They wouldn't keep on grading and grading and grading if they were not able to move inventory. Because yes, some of this business are set registry people. They're vintage card collectors. But I firmly think for PSA to be grading 1 million cards a month, I still think that there are a ton of speculators / flippers / investors in this market, which I know a lot of people I've heard in my comment section, all the flippers are gone. I don't think so. I don't think they're gone at all, especially when you go to the National and you see all the people with all the cards and all the dealings and everything that's happening. Flippers are definitely not gone. It's just the very, very easy flipping money is gone. Now you do have to strategize. You do have to work at it. You do have to, really put time, effort into it. But it just goes to show that there are people out there that are putting in that work, having enough success, maybe a lot smaller margins than what they saw in 2020, 2021, but they're enjoying it and they're having success. So it shows that there is still quite a bit of liquidity in the sports card market, which kind of goes against like what we thought would happen if we're kind of entering into this weird economic thing. People are holding back a little bit. They want to watch their spending. We're watching the job numbers. We're watching interest rates. We're watching all these things. It's not some bullish economy. It's not some bullish market. Now, granted, I know the stock market has been bullish, but in general, if you look at what are people's perceptions, and I'm watching out here, I'm just not seeing it. I'm seeing higher interest rates. I'm saying, oh, it's more expensive to borrow. I'm saying businesses can't borrow the same way. It is a real thing. It does affect real companies and real people. There's layoffs. There's all sorts of things that are going on. But, it shows, though, that there's enough people in this and maybe getting solace from this hobby, not necessarily high-end cards all the time. I know we talk about it. If you're making a $10,000 deal or a $50,000 deal, it certainly gets attention on YouTube or on IG. But it just shows you that the majority of the hobby and collectors, they're still dinking and dunking and really enjoying that, whatever that is for them. And I think that that's awesome. So sports card grading remains red hot, going back even over 2 years ago now, starting from the downturn. Go back and look at gem rate on IG and look at the numbers. and they haven't really moved that much. They've actually escalated up, which is wild. It doesn't make a lot of logical sense, but it is very interesting. And so here we are. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.